Let's give you a proper introduction.
Thank you, sir.
If you're one of the lucky Rob Schneider fans who already got your tickets, you'll be seeing him perform stand-up at one of his already sold-out shows at the Parlor Live in Bellevue this weekend. If you didn't get in on it, you'll still be able to see plenty of Rob this year because he has starring roles in 4 upcoming movies, including Grown Ups, a buddy film that combines the comedic superpowers of Rob, Adam Sandler, David Spade, Chris Rock, and Kevin James.
Thanks. And how about this song, Mysterioso by Thelonious Monk? That was a heck of a pull. I don't know how he got this out. Thelonious Monk is a great jazz legends, one of the cornerstones of jazz, America's most important artistic gift to the world.
One of your favorites.
Oh, my God. Thelonious Monk was genius. He stopped performing in 72. But it was a friend of mine, Harry Columbia, was his manager. He was, kind of back then in the 50s, you had to have a cabaret license to perform. And he had his taken away for drugs, as was the habit at the time, because, guys like Charlie Bird Parker, this kid was doing heroin. Really? Well, does that help him? Let me try that stuff,
Well, it's jazz. How are you going to make jazz without drugs?
My favorite term for people is like, it's close enough for jazz. Mm-hmm. It's just a beautiful term because, if it's perfect, if you're trying to make it perfect, then you're trying for the wrong thing. It's a feel for it.
Listen for just a second. Yeah, it's good stuff.
Beautiful
So
thing.
that's what you're into.
Yeah, well, that's something you can listen to at all times. To me, that's,
It's so weird. Deuce, Bigelow, and jazz just don't seem to be in the...
I know, I get that all the time. We thought you'd be stupid and uninteresting and like things that were not complicated But the thing is, jazz is like people. It was actually music for the masses. It wasn't supposed to be complicated. It's just something anybody can sit back and enjoy.
Sonny Rollins, Monday night's going to be here.
Oh,
First
really?
time in 15 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
How about that? You guys, I'm older than most of the people listening probably. But Sonny Rollins playing by himself with no musical accompaniment in the 70s on the Johnny Carson show was pretty phenomenal.
Wow. Yeah,
he
I'm
came
excited.
Out and just wailed. Yeah. He's just, he's a national treasure.
And a reclusive dude. He hasn't been out in a while. So
it's a class you got to see. But this is a town people want to come out. Like for me, honestly, not just because I'm here, but like this, I felt better saying, that I'm going to be coming up to Seattle because this was to me a breakthrough place for me when I was a young performer. Because it's a town, it's a hip town, it's got like a lot of different cultural influences and whatever. And, when I performed here back at a place called Swanee's Underground in the 80s.
Still there, by the way.
It is still there?
Yeah, it's been demolished and moved a few times, but it's still
okay.
there.
Well, it's been demolished, and it ain't the same feel. Because it was like you had to go underground. It was smoky, whatever.
It still feels like an earthquake would do you in.
Yeah, just like brick around, but like not brick that's fake brick, like a lot of clubs.
Yeah.
They put up as brick, like bricks have something innately to do with comedy. Or something, but it was just, it's what clubs should be, like the Cavern in England or whatever it was, Ronnie Scott's in London. Uh-huh. It was just a dive place where something cool could happen. You go, what the heck's going on down here? And that's what you climb down and you go, what is this place? And as a performer, I was thinking, wow. And they had little tiny tables, and I was, doing pretty good, and the tables were getting knocked over, and I went like, wow, do people do that all the time? And I was just having a particularly good week. But that was it, yeah. So it's really cool crowds here, and I dig it. So it's important for me. And I like doing clubs because you get to really, see the people and whatever, and so that's important.
You are a deep guy. You just play dumb to get rich, right? I mean, you on your like Palin.
Joe, I think you're going to handle this whole interview.
Well, I understand that. So
it's complicated. Comedy's complicated, but if you think it's complicated, then it's not good comedy. It's got to be light and fluffy. You know what I mean? That's why they don't give you Academy Awards for comedies. That's why, Arthur didn't win or, those guys, because they it's easy. It's comedy. Who cares? It's got to, and so, but that's good because, you shouldn't think it's complicated.
Now, this is the Grown Ups movie. I look at that as kind of the ultimate Saturday Night Live reunion, except for Kevin James.
I know. And by the way, every day when we start talking about the old days of Saturday Night Live, you go, great, guys. Okay, I'm going to be in my trailer. I'll see you. Yeah. Because he wasn't on that show.
Well, he
could have been.
I kind of look at him as that John Candy would have had that role, rest in peace, had he not been here.
Yeah. Kevin's one of those guys who's, comfortable in the big body and can do a lot of things with it, and he's naturally funny. He's kind of like Chris Farley was, too, kind of like balletic. You know, he could just do things and just kind of just can be. He's one of those guys. You turn the volume down, you're still laughing. So.
I actually got to see it firsthand. I co-starred with him on The King of Queens one time. Well, I
love how you sat in a booth in the back of a scene.
He won a promo contest to be a walk-on.
Yeah, I was actually in the, I was in the coffee
don't
shop.
diminish that, buddy. He's the one who won that.
I've since elevated myself.
You'll always have that, too,
I
buddy.
was an extra, but I got to see him, do his thing.
Yeah.
Him and Patton Oswalt, and these guys are geniuses.
Well, the thing about TV is I like TV because you can do a lot and you can get good doing it, and it isn't necessarily such a big deal. You know, like in the sense of, hey, you got one bad episode, but, it's like bad popcorn. You know, if you had bad popcorn, you throw it away. You don't think much about it. As opposed to like a movie. If you have, it's like a restaurant where like, hey, if you got burned at a restaurant, you never go back to that place. You get bad sushi, that's it. You never, so let's try that sushi restaurant where we got food poisoning. So that's the way the difference between a movie and TV. So, but he's making that transition. I hope he does well.
What do you think is your best movie?
That's a good question. My best film, I think, The Hot Chick is pretty darn good. Deuce Bigelow's good. I like Big Stan. It's a movie that nobody really saw.
Big Stan.
I directed it, and I did it with David Carradine and Henry Gibson. Unfortunately, those guys already passed away. And it's only been a couple of years since I made it. Big Stan. It's about a guy going to prison and afraid about what could happen to him. A little guy going to prison.
Are you the little guy?
Autobiographical.
It's the guy. It's actually the guy who wrote the original script.
I remember the previews for that. It looked hilarious.
It's a funny movie. It's a funny movie, but it's a little tough. It's basically the feel-good anti-rape movie of the summer.
Yeah.
It's amazing how I didn't get that in the movie theater.
Did you have marketers saying people won't take a date to an anti-rape movie?
Well, I said, I remember, like, because a buddy of mine wrote it, and he didn't even show it to me. He's like, no one's going to want to make this. And I went, like, I'm an idiot. I'll make that.
Yeah.
But I thought there was a scene in there, which I put up against anybody anytime. And I'm not being cocky. It's a really good scene. I wake my wife up in the middle, and I go, honey, some guys broke into the house. And the big guys, they got guns. Yeah, well, what about the master? It was like David Carradine. Well, they killed him. They say you're going to get raped. There's nothing we can do. You're going to get raped. She goes, she starts screaming. And I go, there. What? Now you know how I feel. Fear of rape. That's what I have to live with for the next 6 months.
When you go into
now
prison.
maybe you'll be a little bit more, respectful of what I'm going through.
Let's see why that wasn't the big family movie.
But if you can get through that scene and still not have the audience get up and walk out at that point, every woman walk out. But they laugh because it's like, oh my God, no one. And so the things that are more of a challenge and whatever, that's interesting to me. Like whether it's Chuck and Larry or whatever goofy role I do, if I could find something that I can sink my teeth into in it,